So we're in the process of moving an aquarium, and it's really good to have your filters cleaned before the move. It really reduces the stress on the move, and it's also really good to give your tank a general service. And you really want to know what your water quality is before the move, because the immune system of the fish is going to become a problem. Because what happens with the immune system of a fish is a fish will do anything to look good. Because a lot of people say, oh, I can tell when there's something wrong with my tank. Well, no, you can't. You can tell when your fish are about to die. Because what happens with fish is, in the wild, if a fish looks sick, the other fish will literally kill it because they don't want it passing on diseases. So if fish can trick each other into thinking that they're healthier than they are, then they can definitely trick you. So before you move a tank or you do anything drastic, we definitely want to do a nice service on the aquarium, and we want to do a filter clean. Now, so this aquarium at the moment, the water is acidic. So that's a real big problem, because that means that that's going to be heavily jeopardizing the immune system of the fish. We're just doing a little bit of a water change now, and that should help to raise the pH a little bit, because what we don't want to do is go silly and correct it too quickly. Otherwise, we'll shock the fish and kill them. Now, the other thing is this tank here, the ammonia is basically zero, which means that there was plenty of good bacteria in the filter. Once again, I would have preferred the filter be cleaned previous to the move, but that's easy to say now. There's a tiny bit of nitrite in the water. That would be probably because we've uprooted it all. Now, if you use a 5 times dose of a product like Fraction, that will detoxify the nitrite. I don't really think the nitrite will be a problem. I think once the filter's back in and on, the nitrite will not be a problem. And the nitrate's pretty much zero, which means that the denitrification strategy would appear to be working at this point. Now, the thing that I am concerned about is that the GH of this tank is very high. It's about 22 plus. And for things like stingrays, they don't like the general hardness too high. I'd rather that be a maximum of 16, probably more like 12. And the KH is basically zero. And so all of these things accumulatively lower the immune system of the fish. And it's really important that we have good immune systems on our fish, especially if we're doing anything major like a big move. So what we want to do now is keep an eye on the water test results. We want to do some regular partial water changes. Putting some polyfilter in the filter would be a very good idea, considering that this sand here can easily form anoxic bacteria. The polyfilter can remove that. It would also be a good idea to add product like Vogel, because artificial immune boosters are very handy at this stage. It's very important to feed good quality foods like New Life Spectrum and Danichi. And most of the fish look fairly good weight-wise. The torpedo barbs didn't make it, and they were looking really fat. The rest of the fish actually look quite good as far as not too skinny or not too fat. Fish keeping is 50% about water quality and 50% about nutrients. So the food you feed is really important, and the water quality is obviously very important. So getting a good, I'd be wanting to test the water at the moment probably every couple of days, and probably doing a water change every couple of days. And then before we know it, we should have nice, good, strong, healthy fish, and everything should be back on track. Now, because we're worried about the immune system of these fish, because the water quality hasn't been checked in a very long time, we're going to chuck some Easy Life. Easy Life is a great thing to add when you're worried about your fish. So you just want to apply a really, really generous dose. Make sure the water's nice and cloudy, and then that'll clear up crystal clear. It'll help to give the water what's called the type positive charge, and help to drop out of solution what shouldn't be in solution, and hold in solution what should be in solution. Now, the best thing you'll ever buy for a fish tank is a flipper. So it's like a magnet, and it's got a razor blade on it, and for cleaning algae, it's amazing. They're not the cheapest thing you'll ever buy, but it's the best thing you'll ever get just for cleaning up your glass. So what's going on here is we've got pre-filtration here. So the more regularly that's replaced, the better. And using polyfilter is the best. Then we've got lots of marine pure and then some fake marine pure. It's good to give that a clean a couple of times a year with water from the fish tank, not water from the tap. Then we've got some heaters. It's really important that the heaters go in a section that stays full. You can't have the heaters in the section where the pump is, because that will drop with temperature, with evaporation. And then we've got your pump in there. The pump will pump the water back up to the top again. And then it's really important to have good aeration. So we've got a power head here for shooting the water, and there'll be an air stone for bubbles. After a move like this, checking the fish regularly is really important. And one of the main things you want to look for is white spot. Flicking and scratching, because when the fish are stressed, white spot is your main issue. And white spot is all about dosing them quickly. So it's really good to have some white spot medication on hand at all times, because you'll find that medication is one of those things that you need when you don't have any. But when you have it, somehow you just don't need it. And medicating with a stingray is not a good idea. So that's something you'd want to get advice on before medicating.